ethics and his philosophy. And then we're realtors in Arizona. And I have been politically as naive as one could imagine. We're from Berkeley, California, which tells you something there. I don't know if I was registered Republican, Democrat, or Independent until 2008, and I didn't give a darn. I voted on the person, I voted on their philosophy, etc. And then I got very upset. As a teenager, I was airlifted out of Chile. You're going to know how old I am now. When Dr. Allende, the communist, came in. And all my friends in Chile were killed and murdered. And then when the CIA took over Chile and put in the University of Chicago people, of course, then we killed all the communists. So I have a little bit different outlook on history than most of you. And then Ralph and I lived on a sailboat in the 80s and lived in Venezuela before it turned Marxist. And we saw bodies being burned in the hills. So in 2008, when the president appeared on the scene, I was scared to tears. And a lot of us who have come from communist backgrounds were activated. And I said, never done anything in my life politically. I could have cared less. Ralph thinks all politicians, frankly, are, except for Dr. Paul, and I don't know Rand, are psychopaths. And I tend to think he's right in a way, because you have to, having worked in several campaigns now, they are psychopaths. And Ralph, by the way, I should say, we've been married 30 years. He's been a strong influence on me because he has been a libertarian since he was born. When he graduated from Dartmouth, and every time they call, I have to cover my ears because he's screaming at them to say, you have to have some conservatives in the school rather than preaching the same old Kool-Aid all the time. So, but I have been very strongly fiscally conservative. I'm like 2 courses and a thesis away from a PhD in finance, and so I love it. And I've gotten to know Dr. Paul when he's been here because I can talk his talk. And he's just a great man. And I personally believe in this book on the social issue is leave me alone. Don't get in my bedroom, don't get in my religion, don't get in any of this. And I want to show our similarities because it's stronger than you think. Because I am libertarian, but I'm also, probably most people like Wes don't even know this, that I was strongly involved in the movement with Dr. Paul. But we started out as Tea Party. We started going to the rallies, just got so mad about the bailouts, the stimulus, everybody walking away from the mortgages, and we help people do that, I have to tell you. But it's part of it all. And we went to all these rallies, and Ralph said, there's got to be a march on Washington, all these other million-man marches, why isn't there a march? So I got on there in the computer and nothing. And then all of a sudden, Campaign for Liberty, Freedom Works, I've never even heard of these groups before. And they're huge groups now, by the way. Million dollar groups. Campaign for Liberty, Freedom Works, American for Prosperity, and then sort of the Tea Party just sort of started there, had this march. Now, nobody knew about it. It was 9/12/09. Nobody. Even Fox News wouldn't even talk about it. And then they started saying, oh, they started worrying about this march. And we got the warning that the terrorists, remember, this is going way back, the terrorists were the vets, the faith-oriented people, and the Tea Party conservatives. So we're like, oh my gosh, we're going to end up in Washington, D.C. Ralph is so angry, he wouldn't even go and look at the White House. He was so mad at that stage. So we were afraid to get off the plane. We sent our materials back, our protest materials. The night before, when we got together, some people were saying like 50,000. Well, I had been spending 4 hours a night emailing across the United States. You can make a difference. I didn't know any of this stuff. 4 hours a night emailing everybody. And I started getting this feeling because there weren't any hotel rooms left. This is something big. And then I found out, oh, the bus service called me. Why me? I'm just one of the ones emailing. And there were 800 buses coming in. So that night before the event, everybody would say, well, what do you think? You think we get 10,000, 50,000? I said, no, 1 million. They go, oh, jeez, you're nuts, you know. And let me tell you, baby, I'll sit down and cry because Arizona, first they started out by Arizona through, what was it, L's, Ralph? We filled the front lawn in front of the Capitol building, and they shut that fence off. And that was 1 million people there. And they kept coming and coming. Texas was incredible. You can do this too. But the problem, you see, is the liberal press. There wasn't one. There's no CNN, no Fox News, no ABC. We could have been out here. There were 50 million people and nobody would have reported. But fortunately, their ego is such. They started fighting over, well, was it 100 million, 100,000 or whatever, but it was truly 2 million. That got us going. So we came back and went to some events and got involved with East Valley Tea Party, which is one of the biggest starts in Gilbert. And one day I said to Ralph, and I was an officer, I said, he didn't really want to get involved with this stuff. And I said, would you just come to the board of directors meeting? He said, this is the most dysfunctional organization I have seen in the world. And they're all talking at the same time, yelling at each other. So another book I recommend to you is The Starfish and the Spider. Because most of us here are doing our thing and we all come together to help. And if you cut off the head of one, it replicates itself. That's what happens like with Wes and I when we're in all these rallies and protests and things. The unions and the liberals are trying to find the leader. Oh, you're the leader. Okay, I'm gonna wipe out your car. That's what they tried to do that. You know, they tried to attack me. I've had to wear guns and everything. And they have to find a leader. Well, there isn't a leader because you get rid of one and it's going to pop up somewhere else. So this book is hugely important. It was actually written for liberal Democrats and so forth. So anyway, East Valley Tea Party grew tremendously, broke off into Tempe Tea Party and then Red Mountain, which is East Mesa. And East Mesa gets 500 people a week. That's how huge it is. And now we've got tea parties everywhere.
And 100.
But I decided I didn't believe in going to meetings. That's not where you change things. Wes loves to run his meeting, bless him for doing that, but too many couch potatoes are out there. You guys are more activists than they are, truly. Most of them come to hear, oh, about Agenda 21 and this and that, but they're not going door to door. They're not out doing the fight. That's what I do. I go to every Tea Party event. I go to every rally. I go anywhere there's something that needs to be done. Most people will know my name, right, Wes, because you see me there. What was her name? And that's what I'm saying you need to do, because I'm not any different than the rest of you. I'm just a little real estate agent, that's all. So then I heard about being a PC. Never heard of that in my life. And I go, oh, do I have to join the Republican Party? I'm not even, am I a registered Republican? Oh, dear. So I did, and then I said, okay, AJ, I shouldn't tell you this, because AJ's been more involved politically. I'll probably lose my PC status.
Not in your lifetime.
So then I said, okay, then the conventions are coming up. Now, at this time, you have to understand the parallels of what you're going through. That's why I want to talk to you about it. We got abused by the establishment people, the incumbents. You cannot believe how nasty McCain, Kyle, and Flake are. It is off the face of this map. John McCain used our money. He didn't run ads against Obama. He used our money to go against J.D. Hayward. Now, whether you like J.D. or not, it doesn't make any difference. But $20 million he gave up to run against somebody. And when it came to the important thing, he didn't do anything. But let me tell you, with us, in Ahwatukee, they blew out windows against us. I've had my, like I say, repeatedly had tires slit. Mary Hayward, I just went to a woman's political event, and she was crying because they had roadblocks and they were antagonizing her kids. They were blowing up cars and stuff. I mean, it got so bad. You have no idea what the power struggle is. And we have got to get every single incumbent out of there.
Here.
But the fact is that we worked for McCain because we didn't want Obama.
Right.
We couldn't stand McCain, but we still worked for him.
Absolutely, we did.
Sounds like flake.
How'd that work out for you?
So when a convention came, I can't remember, I went to some event, was running up and down saying, "Oh my gosh, the Tea Party's here." And I'm going, what? Yeah, well, and she said, "You're gonna riot! You're gonna destroy this place!" And I'm like, "Oh no!" So now I'm mad. Now I'm pissed. Okay, I'm pissed. So nobody had built a database of conservatives. So we built a little database in Tempe of conservatives, because those are the only people we wanted to call to get the right people to show up at the convention, just like I told Matthew to start doing. And then nobody had any county conservative people or doers. I don't want the people just because they go to social events or something like that. I want the people that I know that if I called right now, they would be out there with me standing on a corner and protesting. Those people. Nobody had that. And they all said, "Oh, don't worry, the GOP has it," and all this stuff. No, they didn't have it. So when all of a sudden all these lawyers that were McCain people stepped up, never heard from them before, never got involved, we knew exactly what was going to happen. They were going to take over and we were going to be toast. So what I did, with Rob Haney, I had people wear yellow scarves to represent the Tea Party pins. We had slates, we organized, we emailed, and then we did that at the county. And I know you're not wild about Morrissey, and I'm not wild about what happened either, but we were very powerful. Ralph and I and a few other people were very powerful. And that's why when I saw Matthew at our LD meeting, I said, "Geez, tell me who your PC or your potentials are. I want to vote for them." He said, "I don't have a list, and they're all scattered all over the place." And I said, "You don't even know, you can't even work together. How can you get 40 people or 40 votes?" So he's got a database going, and that's what you've got to do. You have to do that. It's organizing, and organizing some more. And you got to take your leaders. David Fitzgerald, he has been GOP, Tea Party, and Ron Paul forever. And listen to him and work with him, because it's very easy to get mad, it's very easy to get angry, but the only way that's going to work is if we work together. It truly is, because if not, they're just going to fight back. And let me tell you, you don't want to see what happens when McCain, Kyle, and Flake fight back. It is not pretty. Alrighty, so one of the things, before I go into specifically how to change the state leaders, well, let me go into this first. Okay, what you really want to hear is how you can increase your position in the leadership. Right now, there are 40% vacant slots in the Republican Party for PCs. Approximately 30% are Tea Party, 30% are McCainites. Okay, you get 40%, that's real easy, right? That's why the whole room is, of course, doing that. But it takes more than that. It takes organizing. It takes the ability to reach out like we've done. Go to Tea Party events, talk to people. Go to just don't become a PC. Go to your PC event, and I mean, I bet there isn't a person hardly in the GOP that know that Ralph and I vote for Ron Paul and are huge backers. AJ, did you know more than 2 months ago?
No.
No. Okay. That's my point. And that creates credibility, that creates the working together. And I just want to show you real quick what I put together here. And I always have a talent for putting things backwards. It's the way I write, so excuse me here. This is a Ron Paul's platform. I took it from his Texas limited constitutional government, lower taxes, lower spending, free market, you know all this stuff. Rights belong to you, not the government. Personal responsibility, don't redistribute wealth. These are just exactly right off his website. No forced health care, pro-life actually, and pro-family values. He says that because he's from Texas. Oppose the Fed and non-intervention in foreign policy. Okay.
That's a libertarian platform.
Well, that's his. No, that's what I took it off of Campaign for Liberty and Dr. Paul's website in Texas. Okay. Now here's the Tea Party Patriots. Nothing social. fiscal responsibility, constitutional limited government, free markets, and now some of them are saying personal responsibility. That's it. Nothing about immigration, abortion, anything. So right now we agree, right? Okay. This is the new Republican platform. Repeal Obamacare, stop tax hikes, decrease spending, flat tax or change the code, balance budget, reject cap and trade, rein in the EPA, unleash America's energy potential and audit the Fed. Now, do you see anywhere where we are in conflict? No. No. And that's why this book, Get Out of Our Lives, Get the Government Out of Our Money, Guns and Lives, Leave Us Alone by Grover Nordquist. He's the tax reform guy. He's a very powerful person. You need to read this book to understand there's a lot of different divergent. Because if all we do is talk about our differences, how in the world are you going to be a powerhouse in this movement? Because everybody, if you get attacked, you're going to defend, and they're going to do the same thing. And let me tell you, the Tea Party is just as much in power now, and it's struggling for the power and the control that the McCainites did. So that's my way. Is let's talk about our similarities. Consider putting together committees to develop candidates. I think, obviously, AJ has an incredible background. Robert Graham is running for the state position, and that's a very difficult position because the state chair basically has to be personally wealthy, because they have to travel all over the United States on their own tickets. There's no reimbursement whatsoever, and we barely have any staff for them in their office. So if you're considering something for those positions, I'm not saying don't run people for any position, although I love AJ, and Robert Graham. You just have to consider that not many people can, unless they're retired and living on substantial amount of money, can take on this job. But there's first chair, second chair. Now we rotate every 2 years. So that means, let's say you get first chair and a second chair, maybe a treasurer, secretary or something. Then you can, those people will rise up hopefully and can be, remember, this is all working. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. But you got to get together, organize, you all got to know the names, and you all got to work together, and you all got to email, and so forth. That's the way it's done. I think that's about it. So you need committees to identify candidates, more PCs, keep your database going. And when we get together, whether it's Tea Party or the GOP or something like that, or Republican Party, we don't talk about candidates. That's sort of like talking about somebody's religion. Are you for Dr. Paul? Are you for Santorum? Are you for this? I mean, you're going to get an argument. I'm not going to go into somebody and say, are you Catholic or Jewish, or what do you think of being Baptist or something like that? We don't do that either. What we're doing is we're fighting for common causes. And so that would be my suggestion. Now, as we get closer to 2016, I would love to have one of the Pauls run. But then it's time to stand up for what you believe and who you want. But for right now, we're in this transition stage. I would suggest, I forgot to mention that when Ron Paul started coming, like 2 years ago, maybe it was 3 years ago, he's talked onto the campus, and then the next day he had a training session for new leaders in Campaign for Liberty. There were 30 of us. And the year after that, I think I was maybe 15 other than the officers, and he actually came down and sat by me because he knew I could talk about M3 and, and all this stuff, and he just talked, right? Sat right there next to me and talked. So my point is, you have made incredible move. Oh, and then I've also gone to 2 training sessions with his campaign manager. Again, we didn't get more than 30 the whole time. My point is, you have done incredible amount of growth in the last 12 months. I know you're depressed because he's not the candidate, but you have to look what you've done. If you continue on at this path, it is phenomenal, because I can tell you 2 or 3 years ago, there'd be half the people in this room. for when he appeared, right?
Not even that.
Not even that, no, it was appalling, really. And so you have done so much, you can do so much, just if somebody, you know, disrespects you or disrespect him, just read this book and say, don't you just really want the government to leave us alone? And I think even on the foreign invention side, what we've got, we're at 900 bases in 112 countries. I bet most, even moderate Republicans are tired of it all. Why are we paying for bases in Europe, in South Korea, where they're wealthier than we are right now? And the rest of the, you know, I think most people just want to get out of the Middle East because it's going to go up in flames anyway. So you can talk about it from an economic basis rather than fighting over the neocon terminology, and it will really work. So I don't think we're far off that way. And I'm just about done. So Dr. Paul said, the greatest good can only be done from within. That's why he joined the Republican Party, to spread the message of liberty. So don't just build the party, become the party. And that's what I want you to do. And I really want you to strongly consider that the way he's chosen the Republican Party, he's given you his vision. And right now his vision is to back off. He doesn't endorse. Rand Paul is out there, actually was out at a rally yesterday with Romney. But he knows that the only way this is going to work is to keep a strong party. Because if we're destroyed, and of course I come from this weird background as a teenager, scared of what's going on with Obama. If the Republican Party is destroyed so much, you have no vehicle left to be able to get this movement really going in 2016. I mean, how many people here think we're going to lose the right to our guns if Obama continues on? How many people here think the regulations are, I mean, what are they, 5,000 regulations a month? How many people think our health care is not going to be decided by a group of 12 people? I mean, this is really scary stuff, and I honestly think that Obama is far more frightened of the Ron Paul people, because you're taking his base. The Tea Party's old stuff, people like us. See, they thought we were all going to just go off in our grave somewhere and not organize. But the problem is people like Ralph and Wes and I will give up our lives. Seriously, give up our lives if it comes to this. And so he is very scared of this movement. So help, you know, we need your help. You know, we need your help if you would consider working with us in the party. And like I said, there are times I think of going third party and all this too, but it just doesn't work. And I certainly couldn't be a liberal Democrat, even though I used to be a JFK Democrat in my younger age. All right, I'm sorry, I talked too long.
Does anybody have a quick question for Ann?
Oh, I can make a statement.
Okay.
As Ann said, I was born a libertarian.
And basically what I just was, don't bother me. I don't want other people telling me what to do. I think that the golden rule really is the way that life should be lived. And the enemy of my enemy is my friend, is the way that we have to sort of behave in politics. I was a registered libertarian for a while, until I discovered that libertarians are doing a lot of damage to the country. Now, how can I say that? Well, it's because they used to oppose the Republicans, take enough votes away from the Republican, so the communist, socialist, Democrat would win, and they would be in power, and the Republicans would be out, and the Libertarians didn't have a chance anyhow, so they would defeat him instead of trying to defeat the Democrat. And I thought that was very, very damaging. There were a bunch of knuckleheads that were running the party at that time. Ann has been with Ron Paul. We had breakfast with Gary Johnson, and we love him. I mean, I think Gary Johnson's a great guy. I think he's just running because he's really angry at the Republican Party and at the debates for pushing him to one side, and it's very spiteful. Well, it's also damaging. You know, Ross Perot gave us Bill Clinton. It didn't take much of a vote taking away from the Republican Party to go to Ross Perot as a third party, and that destroyed the country for, as far as I'm concerned, 8 years under Clinton. He was a despicable man, and his wife is an avowed Marxist. She wrote her thesis about Saul Alinsky.
That is fear-mongering.
I don't really like that. I'm tired of hearing that.
What?
The only way we're gonna change this country is to stand up and make the change ourselves.
But if you-
The
That's
GOP gave us Mitt Romney. Now, if you want the status quo, then you vote Mitt Romney.
I would
Because
much
we're
rather
all
have
right,
Mitt
and they're gonna
Romney
change this
by
country is
far
when we
than
decide to
what we
tag
have
out.
now. I'd much rather have Romney than Obama.
Do you think your life is gonna, do you think your life is gonna
Do
be
you
better?
think Romney is gonna make my life better? I doubt it.
Much better.
He is gonna put us so far
You know,
down.
right now in Arizona, that, this was the Democratic Party, and who knows what they
There's
say.
one other
Right now, Obama's winning here, all their candidates
It's
are
better.
winning.
It's
There's
campaign
one
better.
other really critical issue, and most people don't think about this. The justices of the Supreme Court, right now it's kind of 5-4, but it's really 4.5-4. If Obama is reelected.
Okay, let
Obama
Ralph
is
finish.
reelected, we're gonna be-
Ralph is our guest, please let Ralph finish.
I'm
If
sorry.
Obama is reelected, we are going to have a Supreme Court that is basically a socialist Supreme Court. It will wreck the Constitution. Romney will not elect those people.
And
They
you know
will
what?
be
He
much
can't
more
Bush
conservative.
as
And
well.
how many people in the Middle East is Obama gonna enter?
You
I
know
mean,
what?
he's in
He's all
7
about
wars,
himself.
he
This
just
is
went
100
into
years.
Malia this week. He's in,
Is Romney gonna go and overturn the Federal Reserve?
yes, he's
No,
in
he's
part of the
Gail.
plan.
No, he lied. He just said it the other day.
Gail,
I
know.
Sorry.
the topic for the evening was,
I'll get a drink of water.
Okay, let me just put it this way, and I have the final word because I was the speaker. Consider the fact when you have an empty vessel that is destroyed, you have no platform to attack. Sometimes you have to be Machiavellian. I don't care. I understand. I am saying, Ralph does his class on Sal Alinsky with PowerPoint. If you want to come here. What Sal Alinsky taught the liberals to do was to infiltrate the unions, the schools, and everything. Be like them and then change them. You can't change them doing that. I'm sorry.
what's the name of the book?
Roots of Radical Conservatives. Ralph will teach this too. It doesn't work.
Okay.
Right, but what I'm trying to say is that Saul Alinsky and Carol Quigley, a lot of people, they have manufactured the Democrat and Republican parties to give us non-choices every single election. That's how we end up with the choice between Bush and Obama, Romney and Obama, Clinton and Bush. It's insane. If we don't have a choice of how, like, Romney is going to give me the same thing as Obama.
No.
Obama gave us the same thing as Bush.
No,
Clinton
you're
gave
wrong.
us the same thing as. I'm going to govern myself better.
The problem is we're not gonna fix anything nationally unless we fix things locally.
Right.
And so we have to fix things locally.
Start with the school.
We have to fix things locally before
We
anything
have
national.
more David Schweikerts. Here's a guy who's really, really good conservative and very, very fiscally sound. He's a brilliant mathematician, you know. Those are the kind of people that we need. We need people that can talk sense.
Another thing that's important to me is I do not want one person to be so affecting my life negatively or positively. You know, people think that Romney is going to save them, and people think that Obama is going to break them. I don't want that. I'm gonna govern myself better than I did yesterday, so that I don't care who gets into the presidency. Mickey Mouse can be my president.
Well,
And I'm going to do what is best for me and my family, and I'm going to lead others by example, to spread to my neighbors, to fill up this room, fill up other rooms, and vote my conscience.
What's next, Tracy?
You're gonna have to remember not to follow you.
Where do you think I went first, Wes? I was after her.
Well, I am really grateful for the perspective that we have gotten from Anita and Ann, because really, you need to go with your own conscience, absolutely, and nobody here has said that you should do anything other than your conscience tells you. But as far as building coalitions, I think this is something that we can all learn from, because we do have a lot to agree on. That doesn't mean that you need to go vote for Romney or you need to go vote for anybody else. But we need to find that common ground, and that's a message that I really appreciate hearing from you and Anita, and the great strides that you have made in following that path. So thank you very much. I'm just going to turn the time over to you, I think.
All right, I'll do my own introduction.
Please, thank you.
I'm Wes Harris. I founded the first Tea Party in Phoenix. I also co-founded the second one in Scottsdale. And most